everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back. It is your 14th Matlock episode review. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big girl world. Happy March. It's March now. It's spring is approaching. It's still fairly cold here. It's a very windy day here in New York for me. Yeah, here we are. We are in now officially the beginning of the final 5 episodes of season 1 of Matlock. It's a little hard to comprehend. Again, you know, it feels like I just began reviewing the show in October. Here we are in March. So much has happened in my life. I don't want to go too much into details. It's more one of those, like, I'll converse it as we go along sort of things. But yeah, so I went for a couple life changes recently, and yeah, but here we are at the beginning of the end of Matlock. We're in the final stretch, and once again, they've managed to deliver surprising on my expectations. Where it felt like this episode kind of was starting to tee up as another one of those, not random Matlock. I'm not gonna let me not say it like that, but more like it was kind of ballooning to the point we want to be, but in a very minor scope while focusing on the character. I feel like this episode kind of feels like it's trying to push the bar, but not exactly the way you think about it. And when you get to the end of the episode, when you start kind of seeing like the consequences of Maddie's actions, not like to an extreme extent where like he's gonna get punished, but more like you'll see what I mean if you already have seen the episode or not. But the point is that there's an epiphany Maddie has where this kind of creates into the thing, and maybe it's just in my industry too, where like you can't really trust someone you believe you can trust. You really can't. You never really know, and it does suck to have those moments where like of that. But it seemed like Maddie's own WOTT and such has created her a gaping hole in her theory that now she's kind of like having to figure out is because how can she proceed with this, but at the same time is that how can she really make up this, how does she make up for lost grounds? Because again, after this episode we only have 4 left, and like I said before, it's a little bit difficult for me to realize, can they really wrap up this storyline in 4 episodes? I don't think so. I feel like there's something still missing for me, and that's a good thing. I haven't really felt like this in a while, in terms of like, how are they going to land the ship? How are they going to effectively get the story to where it needs to be? Because I don't want this story to take on multiple seasons, because then it'll just get to a charade. I think it needs to end this season. But my question is, how are they going to end this season? How are they going to like kind of tee off these characters for next time? Because you want to end your story right and kind of begin a new story for next season. And while this episode kind of like pushes into that territory of like, is 4 episodes really going to be enough to finish with what we just got realized? Again, 4 hours of television is a lot of time. Well, actually, without commercials, it's actually only 3 hours. But the point being is that I am very thrilled to see how they're going to wrap it up, but I'm a little scared that will they land the ship? And again, I've already vouched for the writer and the showrunner before many times already in the beginning, so I know she can do it. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around, like, after this episode, how are they going to effectively create that finale to that story? And I think I don't see the path forward right now, and I think that's a good thing, where I can't speculate. I'm not watching these promos. I have no idea what's on next week's episode, and I think that's a good thing, because I really get to figure out for the next week is how are we gonna get there, and that's what I'm excited about. So with all that being said, let's go through the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Matlock. So we begin this weird pseudo flashbacky looking filter where it's Julian meeting up with Shay, presumably on the day of a recording in which Julian supposedly made the error. Shay made an error where this certain section of Braxton documents leaked to the public, or it was about to leak into the marketing of these drugs, and one of them screwed up, and now Julian, being the only one with credentials in the law firm, has to basically go in, retrieve the documents, and dispose of them. And then we kind of flash into like the reality where like Maddie and her husband are kind of trying to figure out okay, is that really realistic? No, but like that's kind of like the narrative they're going with. Like, we're approaching the crux. This could be the the bullet they need to put it into Julian, and expose the whole scheme itself. However, they're kind of still they're missing some details. They're not really exactly 100% firm on it. Obviously, Maddie's got to go back into the firm with the map she acquired at the end of the last episode, to really figure out what did Julian do, what did he do, and that's kind of where they got to figure it out. However, Maddie's not 100% really too zeroed in on the idea, because sadly her sister from last episode is now staying over because she misses her sister, which I'm just like, sorry for Maddie. I'm really sorry for her, but Maddie's obviously, it's not that she's against her sister. Well, we don't get too much in their family history just yet, but she just doesn't want her right now because, like, again, they're working on the big case. They're kind of getting close to the finish, and her being here kind of like restricts the freedom they have as a family to really kind of figure out how do we cross these point to points. And in reality, yeah, no. So that's kind of like the thing that they're really waiting for her to leave. But how she's baking, she's kind of, really kind of settling a couple of roots down, and that's not what Maddie needs to deal with right now. She heads off to work, trying to get away from it all. When she gets to the firm, I believe, where do we exactly start? I've heard exactly where I know it's Sarah and, damn, I forgot his name. I forgot the other guy's name. Oh God, I am really blanking over here. Damn. I know it's like it's not a name. Damn, I already forgot. I apologize. Sarah and the other associate. I apologize. You'd think if I reviewed a show for like 12 to 13 weeks already, that I would know all these characters' names by heart. And for some reason, as I'm prolonging the review, trying to remember his damn name, I can't. I can't remember for the life of me. I can't. If it comes back to me during the episode review, I do apologize. I know, yeah, so he's still flirting with the other associate. She's not in this week, but they're kind of, oh no, wait, she is on this week's episode. I forgot that. Yeah, I'm a stupid guy for that. But yeah, they're continuing, and they're just trying to like navigate, trying to be this Romeo and Juliet type of thing, while Sarah's kind of like dealing with her own struggles right now, because she has not yet answered the question to the person she's interested in, is if she's open to an open relationship. She has not answered that question yet. It's still a big question mark. She's debating, because again, she cares about her, but at the same time, it's not something she ever really considered, mind you. And honestly, no, yeah, that is a big decision to make. You can't really, or maybe not, maybe it's just pandering. Who the heck really knows? Olympia, so the case this week is kind of like the pickup from last week, where Olympia has been working on this big class action lawsuit for the last 2 years. Obviously, last week's case kind of was adding to that, but it was its own thing. But like now it's kind of teeing into the larger case right here, where they have an individual who is the prime witness, the prime suit of the lawsuit for against the company. He took the beverage and then supposedly claimed that because of the influence from the beverage, he jumped out of his car, which left him dyslexic. So not dyslexic, I apologize. Paraplegic. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm really tired. I've been up since like 7 a.m. in the morning. It's now currently 11 p.m. So I'm kind of at the end of my ropes here, but I still got to do Reacher after this review. So I will do the best I can right now to survive. So where do we go from there? Yeah, so they're working together, and Olympia is trying to get her case together. She's trying to now she's at the jury selection portion of this class action lawsuit, which means, considering the high level of it, they have to go through a round of jury selection, and I think Olympia and the other side gets 3 challenges, so they get to kick 3 people off without complaints. And Olympia not wanting to talk to Shay right now, she hires 2 people that Elijah worked on with a previous case to be her cross-analyzers, which Shay gets a little offended by it. She's like, well, no, I'm the in-house, that if you do this without my presence, it's going to really set up some alarms here. And Olympia's like, I don't care. I'm going to do things my way. That's about it. Remember, this is her big case that if she wins this case, it will make a very big case for her to be senior partner. And even Julian being nice, trying to, you know, support her. And he's also like, oh yeah, well, as a person, I'm supporting you. As your soon-to-be ex-husband and your work colleague, I hope you don't win your case. I don't wish you luck. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword kind of thing. So, I want to say, what exactly, like, I'm a little lost here. I think we just go straight to jury selection, I believe. Where, so the cross-analyzers are kind of helping out Olympia here, trying to knock out their 3 people. They kind of settle on a firm jury selection finally, and they're able to firmly begin their case. I know there is a scene with the client and everyone just kind of talking about just how everything's going. One side is recommending that, okay, maybe you should stay hidden throughout the beginning of the trial so that no one can really look down upon you. Because again, it's a very scary matter when, like, you're the sole face of a lawsuit of a company that everyone seems to enjoy. So it's really not something that, you know, he wants to get, you know, too much attention on. Let's just say that much. So I believe we get into the trial itself. They're kind of a little out of order here, and even I'm a little out of order here, where I know the point is Maddie's just trying to, like, be very distant from the case today so that she could just focus on, like, trying to find out these movements from Julian. However, between her sister and the case itself, it's kind of really difficult to do so, where her sister just keeps bothering her every 10 minutes trying to get, you know, answers about, oh, what about this? What about that? And just, like, all Maddie wants to do is just, like, leave me alone. Please. I don't need this today. I don't need this now. I don't need this ever. And also with the case going on as well, you know, her providing support. Sarah's just staying away from Shay right now because, again, considering their near accusation with Maddie failed and everything, that she just doesn't want to be associated with her right now. So Shay's literally, for the first time in her life here, has been alone. And thankfully she sees a moment of opportunity when Maddie is alone, going after her and saying, look, I need your help. I have this theory. I don't think Olympia's made the right selection of juries at all, and this could be a problem for her. So while Olympia and her competition are going through their opening remarks, Maddie steps in and lets Olympia know, like, yeah, one of the jurors may have an unconditional bias against the in the case as well. So this could make or break the case for them right now if they don't proceed forward with it. So Olympia calls for a recess, trying to get that juror out, saying that we just found out the evidence that he has had preconditional opinions about the matter of the case, that we feel like if he proceeds forward, that it could be a very biased decision at the end of it. And the juror and the judge is like, okay, fine, let's talk to him. Let's take a look at him and, like, you know, figure out what's going on. Even Shade's still providing Olympia with some advice, saying that, okay, no matter what happens, still keep neutral, still keep, like, that that he's still a very much a eligible part of this case. Try not to alien him. So when they're doing the case, when they're doing the cross-analyze with just him specifically, he does mention, yeah, in the past he has made very selective opinions that would actually influence this matter. However, he is still very much in the mindset of, like, you know, I've changed. You know, obviously, I made those opinions many years ago. I have become a changed man. I don't believe in those opinions. I'm allowed to change my opinion. And I am perfectly able to continue forward with this case in a very unbiased approach. And sadly, it is enough for him to stay on the case, even though Olympia is just like, great, now I have to cater to this guy too and make sure that I get his vote on this matter, which is already going to be an uphill battle on that. So I think from there, I want to say, yeah, where do we go from here? Do we get to the first witness? I completely forgot. I know eventually we cross back over to, I know there's a moment where, like, Maddie continues her own solo adventure within the firm, trying to find the movements of Julian, and when she finds to one of the key rooms that he was at, it turns out to be a shredder room, which obviously for her indicates that he shredded the documents, he got access to them, and he shredded them. So now in her brain, she's like, crap, this is not what I need right now. Now I'm kind of screwed in the pooch right now, because if the documents are gone, there's nothing they can do. There literally is no case anymore. She goes home early, allowing herself to, like, kind of still step in. Her sister's kind of, like, you know, still being her very colorful self right now. The two getting into, like, little bits of arguments right there. Well, I'll get to more about that in a second. But yeah, so they're still not in each other's good graces. Apparently, the match I'll just talk about now. One of the real reasons why they have not been quite so close in the last few years is because she defended and covered for Emily while she was on drugs. So now her being here, it's like, again, stirring up old feelings that, like, this is my sister who protected my daughter when she was clearly under the influence, who was damaging herself with these drugs, instead of coming to her for assistance. So it's another one of those, like, playing games where, like, you enabled it, but the other side is like, no, you didn't stop it. So it's like, it's one of those back and forth things. We're not going to get too much into that at the moment. I know when we do go into court the next day, I know the main prime subject does go up to testify, and it seems to be going well. However, between a lot of, experts and everything, there's a bit of, like, cause for concern that, like, there may not be anything. It's just, okay, sure, this may, cause her, like, obviously, who hasn't drunk a can of an energy drink and have not been a little hyper? Who hasn't? So it's just like, how do you really explain that? So there really is not much for concern over there for them, just the way they're pitching it, and especially as they kind of, like, nick at the individual's problems there, it kind of really doesn't make for a strong case for him anymore in the eyes of the juries. So now with him out of the way, now they got to figure out, okay, we need some sort of, like, big star witness that's really going to kind of take this all home, that's going to give them the big advantage, the big push they need. So from last week, they recommend, okay, what do we get the girl that actually, can push in for the murder of the other sorority girl, which they're a little hesitant on. Again, it's a very much like not the same case, not the same subject matter, but, like, if they can prove to, like, this has very dangerous elements, that this could be a possibility. But again, they need to get permission, which could be a whole different ordeal right now, because they're in the fact it's still fresh. We didn't really even get the results of that last episode. So here being the case of, like, she has to willingly sign on for this, which means she's going to get some caveats. It's not going to be an easy, like, volunteer work. That's not how it works here, because she hasn't been officially charged yet. Olympia does go over to the ADA that she fought with last week, trying to pivot to him, like, look, don't sue her. Let me take care of her. I can work something out. You have enough cases on your load. One is going to help you out a lot. And he's like, okay, fine. If you could try, go ahead. He won't stop her. So I know I want to say, where exactly are we there? I know we get two different scenes, one with the dad and the daughter, and there is a bit of, like, concern of, like, well, where does she exactly get this from? And, she does have, like, some insight about potentially there was a high school party where this drink was being passed around, kind of like one of those drugs, but since it's not a drug, it's being legally sold. So it's kind of a whole different spiel right now. And then meanwhile, Maddie also has to get the blessing from the mother of the victim, just to make sure that, like, hey, like, I'm sorry for your loss, but, like, we just need your blessing on this case so we can pursue forward with this. But she says no, that obviously, even though that the deceased has no cost of the case, the reason is because the person they actually wants immunity from being sued here. Obviously, for the parents, are like, no, she caused it. She needs to get punished. So no, I'm not giving you my blessing to drop the charges. You will proceed forward with the suit against her. I don't care. I don't care about your class action. I don't care about that. I made the mistake, sure, of putting my daughter in the sorority, because, again, I had the experience. I thought she would have the same experience now. Now that she's reached the age, obviously that was a very big mistake. She's gonna live with that for the rest of her life, but this girl also needs to suffer for what she did as well, for her role in this. So 100%, you're not allowed to make this deal. None at all. So that kind of puts a roadblock in their plan of action. I know there's some ongoing storyline. I know that I think his name is Ben. I'm already blanking on the name. I apologize, but yeah. So he and the other associate continue to flirt, continue to make out in the closet, trying to be all secret-y like, and they're still in agreement. They're like, yeah, Sarah cannot find out about this, as well as there's apparently this whole internal competition where, like, Olympia's old office from back then is now up for grabs. Obviously Sarah wants to get it because she feels like, if I get this office and she becomes senior partner, we could be, like, in the same path, like, we are starting from the same row, or some bullshit like that. So yeah, so that's kind of her dream right now. Obviously, Benny. It's not Benny. I know it's not Benny. I don't know what. I'm already blanking on the name. Billy. I know. I knew it was going to be. I'm so close, like Billy, because also Billy has his own eye on it as well. You know, everyone is, and Maddie's just like, I don't care. I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of doing my own thing this week. Don't worry about me over here. I think from there, I'm grabbing my tea right now. I think from there, I think we get another flashback because I know, like, did we get another flash side? No. I know that, but I'm really trying to piece this together right now. I'm really trying to, but no, we're not there yet. We're not quite there yet. I'm a little lost right now. I do apologize. I feel like I'm missing a big crux of the episode. I feel like I am, but it's not really coming back to me. I know eventually they do a little digging into the party that the murderer Jason did figure out, and you know they were able to like get some sort of ID on it, and maybe if they can prove, like, if we bring these guys into the court case, maybe we can actually prove that like this was a very very toxic substance, that this could really make the case right now. So that's kind of their lead in right now, and then Maddie manages to use this information over to the mom, explaining to her, look, I understand that this girl, caused the events, but this company was the one who created the drink in the first place. So maybe if you focus your attention on them first, maybe you can have a little sense of closure. And she does get the sign off on that. Yeah, I'm really trying to remember if I'm forgetting anything. I don't believe so. I really don't. Yeah, I can't recall. I know there's a scene where like Olympia is still flirting with Elijah. They said like, oh, we're kind of screwed right now in this point in the case, so let's work together, closely to figure out a solution. Which is just like word of like, yeah, let's spend some quality time together. Like I totally know you're dating someone now, but like we can still spend some time together. Which I'm just like, you are playing with fire here. You are playing with fire. I feel like we do hit a point in the case at some point where like it does reach an impasse. I completely forgot what this moment was. I don't know if I skipped ahead with the main primary dealer or not. I really don't know. I know there was a new table thrown on the table for them to drop the case and settle. I know that got thrown in there as well. And I know eventually we do hit the primary day where yeah, everything seems to be falling into place. They got the final permission. They're going to use the girl in the court case. So hopefully all of this will be able to, win. I know there was like some running things going on where like Maddie's communication to her sister has just been passed along. So like, oh yeah, Alfie's, just acting out again. Just, not really being a very proper little kid. Olympia offering all these resources that the firm has. And, obviously, Maddie's just making this stuff up. So she's like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, it's totally fine what's going on. But then when they reach that specific day where like everything seems to now be working on Olympia's favor, Elijah does come in to let them know, hey, sorry, just finished conversing with our client. He's going to take the deal. He's going to settle. Obviously, everyone's baffled. Like, no, like, let's not. Olympia tries to get ready to go on the phone with him to like talk him out of this. But Elijah's like, look, I just spoke to him for over an hour. And they kind of scared him during the court case. They kind of did. Like, there is a good chance he may not win, and all of this was for nothing. So at least getting some money out of it is better than getting no money. And so that's kind of where his firm stance is. Olympia kind of like, it feels very disappointed and like storms out in defeat. Maddie goes after her. She finds her in her old office, drinking some whiskey, trying to drown away her sorrows. And yeah, she's sad by this because again, like, it's not like just any other case. We're like, yeah, it's a pro bono case. She worked on it for 2 years, waiting for the right opportunity to present this, and now that she has, and everything fell apart, and this was the case that if she wins, would have clinched her a very strong percentage to be senior partner, and now that's not happening. Obviously the case kind of fell apart. Now he settles. It's not a win, and all Olympia can do is just show her previous work, which may not be enough to beat Julian, who has brought in a lot of revenue for the firm. Which again, for the firm, that's kind of what's all important. Like, win the big cases, win the most amount of money. That's kind of all they care about. So she's kind of blowing in defeat now, having also to realize she's going to have to leave the firm because of the agreement they made. Like, we can't be divorced and still stay in the same place. Like, okay, whoever makes senior partner is the winner, basically. So her losing, it's like, I'll go to another firm, but I 100% know, Maddie, you will be my first hire. And Maddie doesn't really answer because, again, Maddie needs to be here. Going with Olympia isn't going to give her any credence to anything. So she uses the opportunity to slip away. I know Alfie did text her earlier where he says that, oh, he looked at the blueprints again, and apparently the room that Maddie found that was the shredding room apparently was never the shredding room in the first place at that time period. It was actually a cafe for the firm before they moved into the bigger location that we've seen already. So that means the documents could still be around. Then as Maddie's kind of retracing the rest of the map, she finds out that the room that one of the rooms that was registered in was apparently the woman's bathroom. So maybe I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe it was Shay, but I'm like, why would Julian give Shay his card? That wouldn't make sense. But it would make sense if Olympia had access to his card, because maybe they made a mistake. Maybe that particular day she grabbed Julian's ID by accident, so all her actions were recorded under Julian's account. And when she's starting to realize it, and then when she's looking at the map again, and she finds one of the scanning points is Olympia's old office. Now, again, does this 100% say this is Olympia? No. I mean, I'm not really sure how the testimony is, whether or not the office can be open with anyone in her level or not, or that's just, specifically locked to her. I'm not 100% certain about it, but this doesn't really broach well for Olympia and also for Maddie, because, again, for the whole last 4 to 5 episodes, Maddie has officially stated on record, Olympia is my friend. I trust her. She did not have a responsibility to it. And now, kind of seeing this new perspective where, like, it could have been Olympia. It could have been. Even Maddie having to, like, kind of go inside of her own weird imagination to kind of, like, confront Olympia. It's like, no, this is not true. This is not happening. And Olympia's like, oh, yes, it is. Like, look at all the evidence you collected so far. Like, everything has lined up to Olympia. It's obvious. Like, you only denying it because you don't want to believe it. You think that she's a good person, which, again, on paper right now she is, but, like, back then it was a different Olympia. Even when we got the flashback at the beginning of the show 2 years ago, it was a different Olympia. So anyone can change. Olympia may have been responsible for it. Maybe that was a big red herring in her career and she's trying to forget it. Maybe she doesn't even remember anymore. Maybe she does. Who the heck really knows? The point is that there is so much evidence in her Bandcamp right now that Maddie cannot ignore. I know before we end the episode, I know that eventually Sarah does find out about Billy's relationship with the associate, and the two of them said, you know what? We don't like the other's preferences, so here's what we'll do. We will mutually not comment on these unless these go south. Until then, in the middle, we are just going to be neutrally supportive. That's it. That's all they're going to do. Call it a day. And they both are in agreement about it. But yeah, no, the episode ends with... oh, no, actually, there was another scene I forgot where Maddie goes back home again before this. And she's just discussing with her husband about, like, the potential still dead end that they're reaching in both their personal case and the case themselves that they're working on for the firm. And that's when Maddie goes into her study in which her sister discovers the whole board. Which I'm just like, did you not lock this room? Like, did you not expect her being at home all day that she was not going to look in the study? Obviously, she's very flabbergasted, very confused with what's going on. Maddie explains to her the lowdown on what she's doing, and obviously her sister's like, this is illegal. You're infiltrating a firm. You're doing very malicious activities. And even when Maddie says, like, look, I'm going to eventually drop off the radar. I'm going to pitch this to the Post or some major newspaper, kind of like Shawshank Redemption, and then call it a day. And then what they do with the evidence is on them. But I'm going to give them all the proof they need to run this big story and put an end to it. But she's like, no, like, this is very illegal. This is very... Listen, what if something happens? What if you get caught? Alfie and your husband are in the middle of this. They'll be held to accomplish this. And Maddie's like, that's not going to happen. Who's going to care about a little old lady? Which I'm just like, what, Maddie? Well, hold on. You may be old, but you are an adult. So you can't get charged for a crime if you do this, for impersonation. Again, they're lawyers, so they will lawyer up and defeat you. But, yeah, and again, they kind of go on the back and forth of everything. Maddie's still being upset at her with defending Ellie, and it's the two sides of the same coin. Apparently, they came from a very abusive childhood. Not abusive, but more like a very troubled home. Their mom was not always on the straight and narrow. Maddie being more like against it, trying to, like, make those changes, and her sister's kind of like just always bend over and kind of like accepted the way things are. So that's kind of like the same scenario she's had with Emily. We're like, oh, she's on drugs. Okay, I'll help her out how much I can. But like in terms of like tackling the issue herself, that wasn't in her wheelbarrow because again, she's used to it. So that's kind of where their disagreement lies, because like, you know, again, like how would, you know, had she been a little bit more responsible, maybe Ellie could still be alive. Who knows? Like, it's all a lot of big what ifs right now. But the important thing is that Maddie is now returning back to Olympia as being her primary suspect, even with all the goodwill they're built in the last few weeks, in the last few months, that could kind of come to an end with this revelation. But what exactly, how will Maddie find out for sure? We will hopefully find out next time on the next episode, because that was it for this week's episode of Matlock. I thought it was great. I really, really thought, I think refocusing the attention back to Olympia, I guess for some people would have been expected, because, oh, once you take someone off the board without conclusive evidence, it's going to come back to bite them, which it did, but I'm just like, it came from a decent place where, like, you know, people's past never really have to dictate them 100% now. This being a very different case where, like, you know, if it is end up being true that Olympia had a role to play, that she did hide these documents, that, you know, opioids could have been taken off the market, you know, that definitely Maddie's going to have to really be at a crossroad where, like, does she choose the avengement of her daughter or choose her newfound friendship with Olympia? Who really knows? It's something that she now has to grapple with, because again, she just expected Olympia is a good person. She's always done just good deeds since I got to know her. And I know that's not her, but apparently it was not. Now she's stuck in these very tight corners where, like, what can she do? How can she do it? Like, you know, again, like, nothing is conclusive. Nothing is. And it's going to be very difficult for her to, like, you know, figure this out. Because again, she's still trying to maintain her cover until she gets to the post. But yeah, no, with all that being said, I can't wait for next week's episode. I really, really can. I don't know yet if we're going to go on a hiatus after this next week. I really don't know yet, because I'm just very curious to see how everything's going to turn, especially with this core conflict. Just everything for Maddie right now is starting to get shaken up to a point where, like, there is cause for concern that something could happen, something will implode, and she's stuck in the middle of it. I'm very excited to see that, but for now, I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. I loved it a lot. Let me know down below what you think of this week's episode of Matlock. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the first season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two beside our Matlock episode reviews. Right now, we are doing Reacher episode reviews each and every, usually Fridays after brand new episodes, on Thursday nights on Thursdays on Amazon Prime. We're also doing Suits LA episode reviews each and every Sundays, normally after brand new episodes on NBC. Or we're doing the Rookie episode reviews each and every week after brand new episodes on Tuesday nights on ABC. But if you don't care about Matlock, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review. Like I said, I'm not 100% certain how the last episodes are going to get rolled out. I feel like it's going to still go to May, so I would not be surprised if after next week we go on a final hiatus until May. Don't quote me on that. They might just bang out the whole season now, just because, again, it's already shot. But don't quote me on it. I will figure that out by next week's episode, because right now I don't know. But again, we will definitely be back next week with another brand new episode review. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching again. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.